Let's talk about what's going on in America's housing crisis. Story we've been focused on quite extensively here on the show. Congress is on recess once again this week because of the shortened week. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy are visiting Israel this week with a big congressional delegation. That's why. Why do they need to go to Israel? Because every few months we need to go to Israel to remind them how much we love them and how much money we plan to send to Israel. Meanwhile, back at home, Americans are suffering like never before. Inflation jumped 7.5% in January from a year earlier. That's the biggest increase in 4 decades, by the way. Many economists expect this to decrease as pandemic-disrupted supply chains unravel. Rising rents, though, could keep going and could keep inflation high through the end of the year.
Wait a minute. Are you sure? Because Biden said that this is the best economy ever, this little hiccup is just temporary.
No, that's just on the jobs. Don't pay attention to the inflation part. Just ignore the inflation part. Then you'll be fine. You can pick it. When you're a politician, David, you can pick and choose what things look good for you in that moment.
Oh, so jobs don't have anything to do with the inflation, like that they're not correlated?
Jobs are fine, but he didn't mention anything about rent, right? He didn't talk about rent. He didn't talk about housing. So he can talk about jobs. That's great. But if your job doesn't go far enough to even help you pay your rent, then we're not going to talk about that in our speech. I mean, housing costs make up 1/3 of the consumer price index, and yet President Biden basically ignored it when he spoke last week about this. So, right, I mean, this is a big concern. We have some new data this morning on rental rates in the United States, and it's not good. It's actually really bad. Look at this headline from AP. Rents reach insane levels. Insane. Not just like extreme or like, could you think of like a less thing than insane to say as a headline? No, insane. And they're right. Like you think, sometimes the media, they make up stuff, make flashy headlines, clickbait headlines. No. This is right. Insane is a good way to write it. Listen to this. In the 50 largest U.S. cities, median rent rose a shocking 19% from December of 2020 to December of 2021. In 1 year, 19% increase. Do you think your town is that bad? Just wait for a second. Be thankful you don't live in Miami. Rent jumped 49% in Miami in just 1 year. 49%. You might as well round it up to 50% because the actual number was 49.8%. So 50%. Other cities across Florida, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, all saw rents skyrocketing. The Sun Belt, San Diego, Las Vegas, Austin, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, all saw a huge spike in rent as well. I saw a story about Spokane, Washington. Spokane, which was, you're up there near Spokane, right? Probably a couple hours drive to Spokane, Washington.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Spokane, I remember when I lived in Helena, Montana, I had a ride from Helena, which was like a 4-hour drive to Spokane to return my Ryder truck because when I moved to Montana, I had to get a rental truck. And I had to drive it there. It was the closest one to return it to. And quiet little town. Well, it had been seen as an area where a lot of people were moving out of California because California is crazy. And so they move out of California into Spokane and Idaho and other places. But Spokane specifically was like this really nice new, like kind of cheaper place to move. Beautiful and, nice rivers and so forth. Good craft breweries and all that sort of stuff. Now it's just exploded. Now it's literally, they're saying it's insane. Like the prices are just skyrocketing. So this area that was once seen as like an alternative to California in price savings, we're going to move to Eastern Washington, and live in Spokane. No, now it's crazy. Things have gotten so bad that in Boston, look at this. A resident there put an igloo up for rent. Bay Village Studio available. Look at this on your screen. $2,700 a month. Heat, hot water not included. First and last month's rent, 1 month broker fee. Would you rent that?
I would.
Now, I know it's a joke, right? He was doing it as a joke. This guy tweeted this picture. But in all good jokes, there's always truth, right? The reason that it's funny is because it's not that far off, right? I mean, think about that. $2,700 a month. That's actually probably better than the way some people are actually living in Boston. According to the U.S. Census Bureau this morning, rental vacancy rates during the fourth quarter of 2021 fell to 5.6%, the lowest since 1984. So that sounds good, right? Low vacancies. Meanwhile, the number of homes for sale have been at a record low, contributing to ballooning home prices that have also caused huge increases, causing many higher income households to remain renters. So they can't find homes. And that further ups the demand. So all of these landlords now realize that there's such a demand for their property, they can just drive the rents straight up. And all of this, of course, comes while Congress is sitting on its hands doing nothing. No stimulus plan, nothing. I had an email from a viewer this morning saying, hey, Clayton, would you mind doing a stimulus update today on the show this week? Because I want to see if we're going to be able to get a check, if anything is coming in. And I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I had some good news because we just got the statistics this weekend. 3.7 million more kids are now in poverty in the United States because the monthly child tax credit has expired. So here's the new story this morning. 3.7 million more kids are in poverty without the monthly child tax credit. Since the monthly payments from this expanded child tax credit expired at the end of the year, nearly 4 million more children in the United States are in poverty. And by the way, this all happened within 1 month. Just 1 month. From December into January of this year, the child poverty rate rose from 12% to 17%. Black and Latino children experienced an even higher increase in poverty. So your government can spend an inordinate amount of money on building weapons and bombs, sending billions of dollars to Israel, sending billions of dollars off to Ukrainian forces and to NATO, but can't extend a child tax credit in the United States. And these researchers, sadly, say that the child poverty tax rate could be consistently high through the rest of 2022 if they don't get these child tax credits renewed. And it doesn't look like they're going to anytime soon. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.